Hi, this is Amanda Rose in the Sequoia National Forest with a comment about soaking grains in bread making. There is a large and growing group of consumers wishing to reduce the phytic acid in their homemade bread, and what consumers are doing are soaking their flour in an acidic medium, usually water and yogurt or kefir, perhaps whey or buttermilk, and then putting the recipe together after the flour has soaked and baking that bread. And food science tells us that soaking grains does reduce the phytic acid content of the grains. If we can reduce phytic acid, we can improve our mineral digestion. That's very clear. And so people are soaking their grains to improve their absorption of key minerals like iron, and doing so by putting in yogurt and kefir into this flour in advance of baking it. The problem with that approach is that the calcium in the yogurt or milk or any kind of milk product in that dough actually negatively affects the process, and that is your phytic acid will not break down as much, not as quickly, not as thoroughly if you have a high calcium content addition to that dough, like a dairy product. Now, fermented is better than not fermented, but it turns out plain water is actually going to be better than one of these dairy products in the dough. So, what do? Well, if you love one of your soaked grain recipes, I would keep it. You know, why throw out recipes that we love unless they're, a key part of your diet? We don't actually eat a lot of grains, and so, keeping one recipe in that we might have once a month is not really that big of a deal. But if this is a staple in your diet, I would definitely switch the recipe, and I would embrace sourdough baking techniques. Sourdough creates an acidic environment for those grains, which we know breaks down phytic acid, and there's research. Food scientists have studied sourdough baking and really identify this as the key way in home bread baking to reduce phytic acid. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is adopt more sourdough baking techniques.